Welcome back to Artists Exposed with Tym Moss. This is a very special day because I am speaking to the incredible actress and author, RUTANYA ALDA. How are you, honey?
I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
Oh, me too.
And sharing this, becoming an author, this late in life is like, wow, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? And my English teacher always gave me no higher than a B.
Oh.
And in fact, one time I said, something's wrong here because this is, I really worked hard on this paper. So one time I copied a piece of, who wrote Dr. Zhivago? That author. Anyway, I copied a piece of his literature and I turned it in his mind. I plagiarized it and I still got a B. And this guy won the Nobel Prize for Literature. So there you go, Mr. Skaggs, wherever you are.
Obviously, he didn't know what he was talking about anyway.
No. You know what bothers me is that sometimes kids are discouraged from writing where they could really, or not just kids, but people, because some teacher told them.
Exactly.
And this is a horrible thing. So if anybody out there, if somebody told you couldn't do it, you know what? No. You know what? Don't believe them.
I agree 100%. And I'm walking proof and you're walking proof of that.
Here we are, the two of us.
Yes, I agree. Teachers do have such impact and influence over their students that a lot of times I don't think they realize that.
And to not encourage someone, I mean, and to say, no, you can't do it, and you're never going to be more than a B student.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what? Who says it's one voice, but that voice has a terrible impact sometimes because we keep hearing it in our minds, and so I'm here as proof positive. Yes, you can do this.
I love it. I love that. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you did. Now, where do you come from originally?
Well, I come from Riga, Latvia, which was taken over by the Soviet Union, which was the Soviet Union time. Well, it went back and forth. First Hitler took it over, then the Soviets took over, then Hitler took over, and the Soviets. So they. So that's where I was born. I was actually born during World War II.
My goodness. During
World War II. I'm okay. I'm old. It's all right. And so near the end of the war, the city was supposed to be bombed, and so my father, who was fighting in the army, sent word for us to leave. So we left on a boat with lots of refugees, just laden full of refugees.
And do you remember that?
I do remember it.
Wow.
'Cause I remember sitting on some suitcases on the top deck because everything was like, and so the ship hit what we thought was, my mother said we were torpedoed. So we always said, we said, oh, it must have been a landmine. She must be wrong. But then recently this famous Russian author who now lives in Switzerland because he didn't want to be censored. He wrote a whole book about how his father was in the submarines and they would target these refugee ships and they would sink them, and that's why he became this horrible alcoholic because he couldn't live with what he did because they would watch these refugee ships go down. So I thought to myself, whoa, wow, my mother was right, you know. And this is recently coming out.
Goodness.
Because people wouldn't have believed it, you know. So anyway, I wound up in the displaced person camps in Germany, and that's sort of where I grew up until I was 9, and then I came to America.
My goodness.
And it's really interesting because we were the last the immigrants that came over in steerage. I mean, that happens no more. But in the early 50s, people came over. I mean, we were in the bottom of the ship, you know, with dozens of people, with, you know, really terrible facilities. Like the old immigrants, you know, they came over looking like I did. We had nothing.
Well, they didn't have airplanes. You couldn't fly into JFK.
Exactly. So but that kind of ended like a year after I came, that ended, and then they transported people differently, and a lot of it was by airlines now. Of course, everybody comes in on airlines. So it was the last of that kind of era where we came in. We landed in Ellis Island.
My God, you did go through Ellis Island.
Yes, through Ellis Island. So I have memories of that.
My goodness.
I have memory. My only the second dolly I ever had. I had one dolly in the refugee camp, but the second dolly, some woman was in Ellis Island was handing out dollies to little girls.
Oh goodness.
And so I got my second dolly.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. RUTANYA, I had no idea. I mean, just the journey to adolescence.
Yeah.
What changes and what a remarkable story that is.
Well, the first part of my book, the shortest part of my book, is really the beginning where I kind of introduced myself. Who was I before I became Carol Ann? And so you got to get this. And then, of course, I saw my first movie in the DP camps.
Wow.
And that's when and my first play. And that's when I decided, at 5 years old, I wanted to be part of that storytelling. I wanted to be up there telling these wonderful stories that I had no clue that people lived differently than what we did.
Right.
So,
you had no reference or frame of reference.
So movies were my first reference. Movies is how I learned English.
Wow.
Movies was when I came to the States, my mother and my stepfather worked like 12 hours a day, the night shift, and they slept during the day. So movies was where I learned about manners. I sort of learned about life more from the movies than I did from my mother and my stepfather.
Wow.
Yeah, so
My
movies were a huge thing in my life.
Wow. And then you ended up making movies. I love that.
You know what? It was such a journey. Sometimes I think here I was this grubby 5-year-old kid with no shoes, one dress, and
goodness.
here I am making movies. I'm like,
Yes, in Hollywood.
with more than one dress.
Yes. Well, now the book that you would refer to is RUTANYA ALDA's The Mommie Dearest Diary. And that is on sale now, correct?
It's on sale now at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And I am so grateful to everybody that on Amazon.com, especially because it's been there the longest, that reviewed it, because these reviews that I am getting I am just overwhelmed with gratitude
I would imagine.
for people. I mean, they're saying things that I tell you, I'm just amazed at what people are contributing in their reviews and the insights and the things that they're. So I'm like so grateful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we are going to get into that in a little while. There's some other things I wanted to cover first. But firstly, I just wanted to give a shout out to Double Dutch Cafe in Harlem, which is where we are recording this.
One of my hangouts. I love it here.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's wonderful. We're out on the back deck on a beautiful autumn afternoon.
Yes. Oh, isn't it wonderful?
It's wonderful.
Perfect. I'm not sweating. Otherwise, I would be like, Tim, I'm like so.
It's perfect for an afternoon chat and an afternoon coffee. Well, so let's get into how your journey of getting into film. Was film or television, was that the first? And also, this is kind of a double question. And also, I can see how everything you went through at such an early and developmental stages would have really affected and deepened your acting ability.
You know, I think it's true. I think that we bring to our work the level of life that we have experienced, and the deeper or we go or have been, the more we can offer. But my first, the first thing I did was I did theater in college. I did theater. That's what, and then when I came.
Where did you go to college?
Northern Arizona University.
Okay.
Yeah. And then right after that, I came to New York because I wanted to study with all the great teachers because they were all alive at that time. So I studied with all the great teachers, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. So then I did a little off Broadway, and then my first job was I was a student in Up the Down Staircase with Sandy Dennis. I played a student, of course. And I mean, you don't really. If you know me, then you'll see me wandering the halls. But it's nothing. That was my first job, and then I did.
I bet you also were. You seem like the type that would be off to the side watching and learning every second.
Really, that's what I did. And then I did stand-in and photo doubling for Mia Farrow.
Okay.
For Rosemary's Baby.
Wow.
And so Bill Fraker was a cinematographer, so I learned a lot from him. I'm just and asking. He was very nice. So I asked him questions, and then my first breakout part was the two early Brian De Palma movies, Greetings and Hi Mom. Greetings won the Silver Bear at the Berlin Film Festival, but it was also the first X-rated movie ever.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason it was X-rated at the time was there was a scene where a girl shows her boobs, and that got the big X rating. And I thought, oh my God, now you'd look at it and say, why did they X-rate this? But
now it would be PG-13.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even R.
So these were the early Brian De Palma films, which Bobby De Niro was in too.
Right,
And so I loved making those movies because Brian at that time was making, both those movies are black humor. So there was a lot of humor in those movies, and they were all improv.
Wow.
So it was really fun, and they were all done fly of the night. We would steal locations and go, and
I love
and
that.
it was so. And I thought that he would continue that journey, this wild and crazy stuff, but he decided to become a person that did thrillers, and you know, and it was just a fun time working with him. Those early movies, and then one thing, you know, in the 70s especially, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And
The industry was a lot different
It was
then,
a lot
yeah.
different, and really better in a lot of ways.
I agree.
And because the directors were there, loved actors. The directors were there for the auditions. Today, I go to an audition, and the director is never there.
Yeah, right. It's casting director who tells, and they videotape and send it.
And they have no, and the director's not there to work with you or to see if you have that essence that they may want.
Absolutely.
And if you have a casting director who's not very experienced or an assistant, they just want you in and out. So it's like, I thought, we have lost something. We have really lost something.
Well, everything now is based on money.
Yes.
And it's, can you bring in can you help them to make ticket sales? And it just, my observation seems to be that when casting, they think if you're young and cute, even if you can't act and you have no life experience, you will get cast.
And
because they think that's what people want to see.
And isn't it boring after 10 minutes? You go,
totally.
You go like 10 minutes later, and they all look alike. They're all.
I agree.
I mean, Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, Katharine Hepburn, Roz Russell, all these great women. They didn't look alike.
They were personalities.
They were personalities, and you did not confuse them with anybody else.
Right.
But you know, today I go like, I think she looks familiar. Was she in this, or was she? Like, it's like they all look alike.
I agree completely. Oh my goodness. Well, again, my guest is RUTANYA ALDA, and her book is The Mommie Dearest Diary. We are going to take a break and be back shortly and talk further about her film and television career. Yay!
Yay!